Back in 2016, Pascal Siakam was taken 27th overall by the Toronto Raptors. Today, he's an NBA champion and an integral piece on one of the best offensive teams in the league, also making the Eastern Conference Finals this season with the Pacers. This season with Indiana, Siakam averaged 21 points on 58% from the field, over 38% from three, and contributed 8 rebounds and 4 assists per game. He's become an integral all-around team player that knows what it takes to win and will only continue to develop alongside his younger core. However, now that we think about it, it's hard to imagine back in 2016, 26 players were selected over him and deemed as better prospects. That being said, who were those 26 prospects, and where are they now? Welcome to Sportsphere. Let's get into it. With the first pick of the 2016 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Ben Simmons, and so far, Ben has experienced a career of highs and lows. After being out for the entire season he was drafted, Ben came back and won Rookie of the Year, also having team success with Philly alongside Joel Embiid. But as he continued his ascend as a rising star in the league, it wouldn't go without controversy. Because, see, Ben Simmons could not shoot to save his life, and he also had a bad attitude about it. Ben soon became a locker room menace at Philly after securing a big contract, and would proceed to request a trade, eventually seeing himself on the Brooklyn Nets. Since then, it's become obvious that Simmons does not love basketball, and after securing a 5-year, $177 million deal, he no longer had motivation to play his hardest and win games. After his trade to Brooklyn, he would continue to recover from an injury on the bench, while collecting millions of dollars a month. Since securing the deal in 2019, it's no secret his output has decreased almost every season. And last season with the Nets, in 42 games, he averaged 7 points, just over 6 rebounds and 6 assists. And despite still having the physical tools and ability to become a good NBA player, it's all up to Ben Simmons himself to make it happen. I guess we just have to wait and see. As for the second pick of the 2016 draft, things were much more smooth sailing for Brandon Ingram's career. Despite a slow start with the young Lakers team early, BI was soon moved to the Pelicans in the Anthony Davis deal, and this proved to be the exact change of scenery required to propel him to the next level. Although he showed signs of a 3-level scorer with the Lakers, averaging 19 points, and shooting almost 50% from the field in his 3rd season, his move to the Pelicans saw his point per game jump to almost 24 points the following season, also improving his 3-point shooting dramatically. Since then, he's become a reliable player for the Pelicans, striving mainly on the offensive end. Now the next step for Ingram and the Pelicans is growing with Zion and limiting injuries. As for the third pick, Jaylen Brown, after being selected by the Celtics, his career trajectory looked quite similar to that of Ingram. In his first couple years in Boston, he showed great signs of a two-way guard still with untapped potential. And by his 4th season with Boston, he averaged over 20 points and 6 rebounds, while shooting over 48% from the field and 38% from 3. Not to mention, the Boston Celtics seem to be a contending team every season, with the Celtics drafting Tatum in the 2017 draft, creating a great young duo. Although a lot of talk around the NBA began claiming the pair of Tatum and Brown would not work, due to them both being ball dominant, in the 2022 season, they would finally make it to the NBA Finals, after coming so close multiple times. Despite losing to the Warriors in 6, this gave hope that the pair could find postseason success together as they continue to hunt for their first chip with the Celtics. Anyways, this season saw a slight decline in some statistics for Jaylen Brown. However, it's only natural, considering the new additions of Porzingis and Drew Holiday over the offseason. And now this Boston team seems like the only ones that can stop themselves from winning a championship in the next few years. As for the 4th pick of the 2016 NBA draft, Dragan Bender, coming out of the Israeli Premier League, he became the highest picked player in this draft that is currently out of the NBA. Selected by the Phoenix Suns, Bender quickly became probably the biggest bust of the draft. Seen as a stretch 4 with good defensive versatility, Bender proved to be basically none of this, meeting up to none of his prior expectations. His defensive impact was limited from the jump, with the athleticism and size of the NBA being too much for Bender to handle. And after 3 seasons with the Suns, they finally gave up on him, before short stints on the Bucks and Warriors, only to move back to Maccabi Tel Aviv in the 2020-2021 season. Seen as a future Eurostar, Bender added himself to a list of high European draft picks that proved to disappoint. Similarly to the first pick Ben Simmons, Chris Dunn has also embarked on a career of highs and lows. Drafted by the Timberwolves with the 5th overall pick, Chris Dunn was seen as a great two-way guard with good size who could also playmake. And although he proved to be great defensively early, his offensive was a different story. This saw the Timberwolves trade him after his rookie season, where he landed himself on the Chicago Bulls with a bigger role. With the Bulls, he also greatly increased his offensive output and shooting splits. And in his second season in the league, he averaged 13.4 points, 6 assists, and 4.3 rebounds, shooting 43% from the field and 32% from three, as well as 2 steals per game. Although still not a standout offensive talent, Dunn was a dog kind of guy that could do it all on the court, and any team would benefit from having on their team. That being said, after 2 more seasons with the Bulls and failing to improve areas of his game like his shooting, he was traded to the Hawks for the 2020-21 season. However, after this move, a series of ankle and knee injuries saw him play just 4 games with the Hawks. And lingering injuries continued to plague Dunn as he was moved to the Blazers and then Utah. Now on the Utah Jazz, Dunn has played most this season thus far, and is playing limited bench minutes, but is still making his presence felt in all areas. Despite the ups and downs, hopefully Dunn can maintain good health and become a great role player in time to come. As for the 6th pick of the 2016 NBA draft, Buddy Hield solidified himself as a top 3-point shooter in the NBA not long after entering the league. However, thus far, he's not proven to be much more than that. Selected by New Orleans, after a decent rookie season with the Pelicans, he was moved to the Kings, and it wouldn't take long for Buddy to show his ridiculous 3-point shooting, especially with catch-and-shoot threes. In his first 3 seasons with Sacramento, he shot over 43% from 3. And he peaked offensively in his 3rd season, where he averaged over 20 points. However, other than 3-point shooting, Buddy didn't excel in any other aspect. Anyways, seemingly not having the motivation to improve his overall ability, the years that followed saw a decline in overall offensive output, also seeing him soon move to Indiana in a Sabonis-Halliburton trade. Although Buddy continued to play his role, shooting good from 3, and also stayed healthy, his lack of versatility became more obvious as time went on. Now on the 76ers, Buddy has maintained a more limited role in Philly so far. Although still a good player, as a 31-year-old, we have likely seen the peak of Buddy Hield already. Picked up by the Denver Nuggets 7th overall, Jamal Murray proved to be a great selection, becoming one of the few players of his draft class to win an NBA championship. He quickly proved himself as a promising point guard as a rookie, averaging 21 minutes, 10 points, and over 2 assists per game with good efficiency. He broke out in his sophomore year, scoring nearly 17 points per game on 45% shooting, including almost 37% from 3. However, Murray would completely break out in his sophomore year, scoring nearly 17 points per game on 45% shooting, including almost 37% from 3. Over the next few seasons, Murray played a key role on a young, potential-rich Nuggets team, helping them win multiple playoff series and reach the 2020 Western Conference Finals. However, a severe ACL injury in the 2020-21 season sidelined him indefinitely, causing him to miss the entire 2021 playoffs and the following season. Despite concerns, the Nuggets kept faith in him. Returning in the 2022-23 season, Murray averaged 20 points on strong shooting, serving as a vital second option for the top-seeded Nuggets. In the playoffs, alongside Jokic and a great supporting cast, they eliminated the Timberwolves, Suns, Lakers, and Heat, losing only 5 games en route to the NBA championship. Murray's playoff performance was outstanding, averaging 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, and shooting over 40% from 3 across 19 games, proving once again that he enhances his play significantly when it matters most. As for the 8th pick Marquise Chris, he is also out of the NBA after seeing stints on 5 different teams in 6 seasons. After 2 average seasons as a forward with the struggling Phoenix Suns, he moved to the Rockets, Cavs, Warriors, and Mavericks in just 4 seasons. Although he did have 1 decent season in the league with the Warriors, averaging over 9 points and almost 55% from the field. In the following season, A broken leg early in the season would see him miss almost the season's entirety. Now, he's playing in the G League. The 9th pick, Jakob Poeltl, had quite a slow start to his career, but has slowly developed into an average NBA big man in the league. Drafted by the Raptors, he began his career with promise as a decent big man, but not much more. After 2 seasons with the Raptors, he was moved to the Spurs, seeing him develop from a bench big man to a starting big man. His time at the Spurs also saw his peak in his career statistically, where in the 2021-22 season, he averaged over 13 points on almost 62% from the field and over 9 rebounds. And after another season with the Spurs, he would be moved to the Raptors once again, joining the team that drafted him 7 years ago. A role playing big man and nothing more, Poeltl still embarked on a decent NBA career. As for Thonmaker, he was seen as a gifted basketball talent, especially on the defensive end. However, having come straight out of high school to the NBA, the basketball scouts got one thing wrong, and he proved to get dominated on the NBA level with the Bucks as a defender and rim protector. As for offensively, he also struggled, unable to finish in the paint consistently, even as a 7-footer. As time went on, although signs of some improvement, he simply couldn't improve quick enough, seeing him out the NBA by the 2020-21 NBA season, where he's now playing in China. Domantas Sabonis was selected 11th overall by the Orlando Magic and quickly traded to the OKC Thunder. And after 1 season with the Thunder, he would be traded to the Pacers in a move involving Paul George and would show improvements in almost every year since. Fast forward to today, he has become one of the best bigs in the league, who epitomizes the skill set of a modern big man, averaging almost 20 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists, shooting almost 60% from the field and 38% from deep. The Utah Jazz held the 12th overall pick in 2016. They reached slightly for versatile Baylor forward Taurean Prince, eventually trading him to the Atlanta Hawks as part of the package for George Hill. Seen as having the potential to be an elite-level defender, Prince has bounced around the league in the last 8 years. He started all 82 games for the Hawks in the 2017-18 season, putting up 14 points per game. But since then, Prince has seen his production drop off despite being a solid role player. Atlanta traded him to Brooklyn in 2019, before stints with the Cavaliers and the Timberwolves. In the 2023 offseason, Prince signed with the Los Angeles Lakers and started more than half of the games this season. It looks like he could have found a home in LA, as he is a solid scorer who can also help massively on defense. The Phoenix Suns selected Greek center Georgios Papagiannis 13th overall, despite the fact many draft boards saw him as a second-round pick. Papagiannis was traded to the Sacramento Kings on draft night, which turned out to be a very bad move for the Kings. Sacramento thought they had their next great 7-foot European center with Papagiannis, but in his rookie season, he featured in just 22 games, putting up 6 points and 4 rebounds per game in that time. He was a raw prospect coming into the league, and by 2019, he was out of the NBA altogether. Currently playing with Fenerbahce in Turkey, Papagiannis has rebuilt his career in Europe after an incredibly disappointing time in the NBA. The Chicago Bulls picked up Michigan State guard Denzel Valentine with the 14th overall pick. Despite impressing in the Summer League, Valentine did not get many opportunities to show off his talents in his rookie season. He featured more in his sophomore season, including a career-high 34 points against the Cavaliers in March 2018. But just a few months later, the injury bug struck him. He would miss all of the following season with ankle instability, and it led to Valentine bouncing around the league. He last played in the NBA in 2022, with Valentine currently signed to Olimpia Milano in Italy. So not exactly the career that Valentine or the Bulls were hoping he would have. Juan Hernangomez was the best prospect coming out of Spain in 2016. He was selected by the Denver Nuggets and immediately assigned to the G League. But he still was able to feature in 62 games in his rookie season. He switched between the NBA and G League over his first few seasons and was never really able to find a consistent place in the league. Hernangomez would feature for 7 different teams across his NBA career, but he has not played in the league since February 2023. His NBA career is mostly remembered for his role in Hustle, alongside Adam Sandler. Hernangomez has had a brilliant international career, leading his native Spain to the Eurobasket title in 2022. The Boston Celtics held the 16th overall pick and decided to select Guerschon Yabusele from Rouen Metropole. Despite joining the Celtics for the Summer League, he would play a single season in the Chinese Basketball Association before joining up with the Celtics. Despite an outstanding season in China, Yabusele had a short 2-year stint with Boston. He would barely average 2 points per game in his time with Boston before being waived in the offseason of 2019. Yabusele was a fan favorite, but that wasn't enough for him to be given another opportunity in the league after being waived by Boston. He is still playing basketball today, playing for EuroLeague champions Real Madrid. Vanderbilt guard Wade Baldwin was the 17th overall pick in the draft, going to the Memphis Grizzlies. He was supposed to be the long-term heir to Mike Conley, while still able to provide a different option on offense from day one. Baldwin would split his time between the Grizzlies and the Iowa Energy, his first season. But he was waived by Memphis and signed by the Portland Trail Blazers. He played 2 seasons with Portland, but featured very sparingly in the rotation. He is currently playing his basketball in Israel with Maccabi Tel Aviv. Considering how well Baldwin is playing in Europe at the moment, maybe NBA teams could be looking at bringing him back to the league one day. The Detroit Pistons used their first-round pick on Marquette forward Henry Ellenson. It looked like the Pistons had their frontcourt partner for Andre Drummond sorted, but Ellenson never took the leap forward he was expected to. He played 59 times for the Pistons, starting just 2 games. But he struggled to fit into the NBA despite having countless opportunities. After being released by the Pistons midway through the 2018-19 season, he would feature just 24 times. It looks like Ellenson's NBA career is over, having last played for the Toronto Raptors in 2021. With their 3rd pick in the first round of the draft, the Denver Nuggets selected Florida State guard Malik Beasley. Beasley has turned out to be a very good player, despite the fact that his career started off slowly. There were medical concerns around Beasley due to a stress fracture in his leg. But Beasley was given time to develop in Denver. It wasn't until he moved to Minnesota that Beasley became a starter. He has bounced around the league, but Beasley is still one of the better players in this draft. At the moment, Beasley is starting for the Milwaukee Bucks in the backcourt alongside Damian Lillard. This season, he averaged a very impressive 41% from the three-point line in a loaded Bucks offense. The Indiana Pacers used the 20th overall pick on Karis LeVert, the Michigan guard who was coming off a serious injury. LeVert was traded to the Nets a couple of weeks later, where he played some very exciting basketball. LeVert turned into a solid scorer with the Nets, but struggled to stay healthy. He spent a single season with the Indiana Pacers before being traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. While LeVert is not a starter with the Cavs, but he still plays a crucial role. LeVert has been healthy for both seasons in Cleveland and is likely to be crucial if the Cavs want to progress deep in the playoffs. Certainly a great late first-round pickup by the Pacers, who is now performing at a very high level off the bench for a contending team. Despite picking forward Taurean Prince 9 picks prior, the Atlanta Hawks added DeAndre Bembry with the 21st overall pick. Bembry was coming off 3 seasons with St. Joseph's and split most of his time with the Lake City Stars in the D-League. After injuries and time in the D-League, Bembry got a full season in the Hawks roster in the 2018-19 season. He performed well, but his lack of scoring became quite a problem. Bembry's solid rebounding was not enough for a 6'5" guard, so he was released by the Hawks in 2020. Bembry has bounced around the league since then and hasn't played in the NBA since 2022. The Sacramento Kings traded for 22nd overall pick Malachi Richardson 2 weeks after the draft. As the Kings were looking to move on from Ben McLemore, the Syracuse guard looked like a great scoring option. Richardson's rookie season was ended prematurely by injury, and he never recovered. As part of a terrible Kings squad, Richardson was used rarely, featuring much more for the Reno Bighorns in the G League. He has bounced around G League and European teams since 2019. Malachi Richardson was not quite the future scorer that the Sacramento Kings were hoping for. The Celtics used their 3rd first-round pick in 2016 on Ante Zizic, but he was also traded away before even suiting up for the Celtics. He spent all of his rookie season in the G League, making his Cavaliers debut in 2017. Zizic would play in Cleveland for 3 years, featuring in 8 games in the Cavs' run to the 2018 Finals. The Croatian center struggled to adapt to the physicality of the NBA, and it meant he struggled to collect the rebounds or score as many points as he should have done. Zizic hasn't played in the NBA for more than 4 years. Right now, Ante Zizic is playing his basketball for Italian team Virtus Bologna, having been extremely successful in his time in Europe after the NBA. The LA Clippers did not have much luck with the 25th overall pick, selecting Bryce Johnson from North Carolina. Just a few weeks before his rookie season, Johnson was ruled out by a herniated disc in his lower back. He often featured in the D-League and in total would play just 12 games for the Clippers. Halfway through his sophomore season, Johnson was part of the deal that sent Blake Griffin to Detroit. Johnson would be traded a week later to the Grizzlies, which is the last NBA team he featured for. After playing 2 games, Johnson was waived by Memphis and was most recently playing his basketball in Japan with Toyama Grouses. The Sixers added to their haul of first-round picks with Turkish prospect Furkan Korkmaz. Korkmaz was a 2-time Turkish Cup winner and was named FIBA Champions League Best Young Player, so came to the league with plenty of expectations. Korkmaz has had a slightly strange career in the league since being drafted. He has only ever played for the Sixers in his long NBA career. Korkmaz spent the majority of his first 2 seasons in the G League, but became a valuable part of the Sixers' rotation for a few years. He even started 4 playoff games for Philly in 2021. Korkmaz added value as an impressive 3-point shooter whose athleticism helped him contribute on defense. But his role diminished over the last few years, and Korkmaz was traded away this season. Currently a free agent, the Turkish forward is hoping another team takes a chance on him. And that's it for the video. What do you think of every player drafted before Pascal Siakam, and where do you think Siakam would go in today's redraft? Please put your thoughts in the comments down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you for watching SportsSphere, and we will see you next time.